while we're waiting on Corey if he has anything, then we'll go. I'm gonna go ahead and get Jake here. Jake, your last name is
Lowness.
I'm gonna go ahead and get him, waiting on the fire chief, get his assistant fire chief here with us.
Sure.
I'm waiting on him here, so while we're waiting on him, I'm gonna let Jake speak. He's from Puckett Ambulance Service. Had a little issue there. But anyway, I'm about to tell him. Well, Puckett's here me and Jerry met with Puckett about a week after the meeting there. He didn't know what had kind of went on there, you know. News media wants to get involved. We got everybody calling him and calling Puckett. So he called and got in touch with the county mayor, and he called me. So we met with him and talked out this situation on the a lift assist, or CS lift, or however you want to word it there. But he came tonight to kind of, I guess, speak on behalf of Puckett. Then Corey will be here, should be here time he gets done with Jerry, what we come up with on that. So I'm going to turn it over to Jay.
Okay.
Lewis.
Thanks, Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for letting me come out. As Mayor Myers said, we did meet with the county mayor, Mayor Jackson, and I think there was some misinformation that may have gotten out, and I just wanted to kind of clarify that. So our relationship with Marion County is we're a contracted 911 ambulance provider for Marion County. And we currently have 3 ambulances in Marion County. We have 2 what we refer to as a 24-48. They work almost exactly like a fire department, 1 day on, 2 days off. And so we have 2 ambulances that rotate on that schedule. And then we have a 12-hour truck that runs 7 days a week. So we have 3 ambulances that we provide for peak in the county for the 911 for emergency calls. And we've been with Marion County for a number of years, and we like being in Marion County. We hope that we are doing a good job. We work closely with, Mayor Myers and Mayor Jackson and all the county commissioners that if there are issues, we want to address them, quickly rather than later. So that's why when this came out, I kind of got wind of it. I was like, number one, I wasn't aware that there was a new policy that New Orleans City had enacted in regards to what we refer to as lift assist. And yes, sir.
No policy. There was no policy.
Okay.
None whatsoever.
Okay.
That was given out. There wasn't no policy, no nothing.
Okay.
We just voted on that.
Good.
And this is our fire chief here now. So this is Jake, and I didn't interrupt you with Puckett.
You're fine.
I'm sorry.
Okay, that bothers me,
What's that?
the fact that we voted on that quickly and nobody really discussed it very much.
Yeah, we didn't.
I mean, I wish someone had.
Well, wait just a minute. We'll give you time to speak. I'm going to let Jake. He's got the floor right now. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. So that's just kind of our relationship. And what I wanted to try to relay to everybody is these ambulances that we provide for Marion County are for emergencies, for 911. If somebody calls having a heart attack, a stroke, a major accident, life-threatening emergencies, these ambulances have to be ready to respond. And unfortunately, we are not in the position to run what we call a community lift assist or lift assist, where if a citizen calls that they've fallen and they can't get up, or they're stuck in their bathroom, or they need help getting into their residence, while we want to be compassionate, we just simply do not have the resources to do that. We have to have these ambulances ready to respond to a true emergency. And I think hopefully each and every one of you would understand that if your loved one, sir, was having a heart attack and you found out that the only available ambulance was tied up at a residence, assisting someone off the floor that wasn't injured, helping them get into their house, helping with their groceries. We have experienced those types of calls in other communities, and we simply just cannot do that. So I was concerned. So I met with the Mayor Jackson, and we all came to a consensus that New Hope Fire Department, I understand, Chief's a volunteer fire department, correct? You don't have any paid service members on the fire department. That is a huge, huge benefit to this community, that you've got volunteers out there that are willing to take away from their time to assist, other citizens. But they too can only be utilized in true emergency situations. I would be very reluctant to want to try to go to a scene where I could potentially get injured if I'm not going to be compensated for it. So I understand the position that the mayor's in, the chief is in, but we have decided that if we needed help getting a residence in, say we're bringing someone back from a hospital into New Hope, and we need assistance, the mayor has assured me that we would get that assistance. If somebody needed transport to the hospital to be evaluated, and we were not able to extricate them from the residence, because we only have 2 people on an ambulance, and information got out that we've got plenty of resources. That was false information. That's not true. We got very limited resources, and we strategically place those ambulances where we feel that the next call will come in. We use a lot of data to track that. Come in, Joe. This is Joe Dunn. He's my director of operations, and so we want to make sure that for those true emergencies, that we can respond quickly and efficiently, and we just unfortunately do not have the resources to be tied up with these community lift assists, non-medical lift assists. So I'm willing to answer questions if possible, or if the mayor deems that appropriate or necessary. But we have met with the county mayor, and Puckett EMS is committed to, if we need assistance on a true medical emergency, the New Hope Fire Department is going to provide us that resource, and we will provide that resource for them.
Okay, before we have any questions or anything, first and foremost, I talked to Corey and Jerry about this, and we come to the agreement on that. But also, people think we're the only ones that's done this. That's the way it's put out on some special news we got over here, but that ain't the truth. How many other cities and counties do you also have this same issue with? It's not just us.
No, sir. It's not, and unfortunately, it's in every community that we provide service to. And look, I get it. The citizens need help, okay, but we're only capable of providing true emergency help. We just simply do not have the staffing, the resources, the time to take away from an emergency ambulance to deal with these non-medical lift assists. And yeah, we do get some pushback from other communities. We do exactly what we're doing here. We meet with the elected officials. We meet with the citizens so we can say, hey, look, what kind of what alternative can we come up with? Does the city of New Hope have protective services? Do they have some other kind of community service that may be able to help these residents in need? I want to be good stewards. I'm a Christian. I want to do what's right, and I don't want to leave anybody in need. But I also have to make sure that we are doing what we are contracted with the county to do from a legal perspective, and that's to protect the citizens of all of Marion County, including New Hope, for true life-threatening emergencies. That's what our mandate, that's what our contract is with the county.
Okay.
How do you make that decision from afar? Who makes that decision? Who makes that call?
In regards to what, ma'am? Whether or not we need to respond?
I call 911, and
Yeah.
I did.
Okay.
My husband in 2022, in the middle of the year, was diagnosed with light chain amyloidosis, which is a very rare blood disorder.
Okay.
I called you guys, well, I called 911.
Okay.
And I told them that he had fallen in the bedroom, and I could not get him up into the bed. And I did intend to have him transported the following day to Park Ridge because I thought we were going to go in and get a procedure, a vascular procedure from Dr. Lassar.
Yes, ma'am.
So I wasn't questioned other than the fact that I couldn't help him get out of the floor and get back to the bed. I wasn't questioned at all, and just in a short period of time, 2 of your people came and someone from the sheriff's department to help him. So you having the 911 person having no information about my husband whatsoever, other than the fact that he's fallen and he cannot physically help me get him up. That was all they had. How are you even medically equipped to make a judgment call on whether someone is a medical lift or if they truly do have some type of medical emergency that's not diagnosed?
Yeah, that is an excellent question, ma'am. And that happened when, in 2022?
That happened in 2022,
Okay.
in July.
Okay. I was not around at that time. That's not an excuse. I can certainly look into that. But what needs to happen is the 911 center needs to be well equipped to what we call EMD, as Emergency Medical Dispatch. There should be a set of questions that they ask in order to determine. Did they ask you, was your husband injured? Did they ask you that?
No.
No. Didn't ask anything as, are you needing transport to the hospital? Did they ask you that?
No.
Okay. We need to work
I
out.
know that there's not a lot of you around because
Yes.
I see how few coverage we really have.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that you're spread thin.
Well, thank you, ma'am. Thank you for recognizing that. And I want
I do
to also recognize that, yes, when your husband's lying in the floor and he can't get up, to you, that's an emergency. I get that. If I were you and that was my husband lying there, I would be like, I need to get him up out of the bed, you know? So I appreciate you kind of seeing, you know, my perspective as well. And that's why I'm here, is to figure out, how do we address those? How do we not let your husband lay in the floor unnecessarily? He didn't need necessarily transport to the hospital, correct, at that time? You just need to help him
No, I
up.
wanted him to go the following morning because...
I understand that, ma'am, but at that moment,
He didn't
need to be transported to the hospital. That's my point, is that at that moment, it didn't constitute a medical emergency in our eyes. That should have been properly EMD'd by dispatch so that our resource was not sent. But we did come out, correct?
Yes, you did.
And we did evaluate your husband?
You did.
Did we-
Well, you helped me get him back into bed.
Good.
You did your part. He had no fever, no temperature. And
Right.
At that point,
Okay.
all was good. But the
Okay.
next morning when I called you guys and you transported him,
Yes, ma'am.
well, I actually called you earlier than that. He was in complete renal failure by the time I got him there.
Okay.
So that's one of those things that you would just never know about because that's
Sure.
a weird disease.
Yes, absolutely.
So let me ask you this.
Yes, sir.
In her case, really, y'all shouldn't have came out, okay? So what would she do? What would have happened in a case like that? I mean, who would come out and help? I mean, what would 911 do? You know?
That's a great question, and that's what the issue is with the city council, and that's what you guys kind of need to figure out. I think that, you know, from the fire department's perspective, I see their challenges. From the mayor's perspective, I see his dilemma, you know, trying to do what's best for the citizens of New Hope, but also the use of the appropriate resources.
You know, what we kind of voted on everything else, you got the guys that's volunteering, and you call them at 3 o'clock in the morning. They
Yes.
go to work at Station 7 in the morning, so they're called out to go help somebody out on the floor when they're on volunteer fire department, you know?
We want to do the
Yeah,
humanitarian.
we want to do the right, we want to do the right, we want to do the right thing.
Absolutely.
You know,
Yeah.
all of us here, if you call us, come help somebody get out of the floor, but it's, you know, it's a situation, well, we don't know what to do really.
Well, that's a great question, and I do not have the right answer to that. What I am aware of is that it's not a habitual problem. It's not an habitual problem. In several of the communities that we do work for, there are select individuals that, you know, tend to call more than others. And we've at times had to get Adult Protective Services involved, we have to get the sheriff's office involved, you know, we try to locate, they'll try to locate family that maybe could help this particular individual. There is other ways to do that than unfortunately put the burden on the fire department, who's a volunteer, and then expect a contracted emergency service to do this. Again, I don't know what the right answer
And
is.
what Jake and he and I talked to Jerry when we met, it becomes a safety concern, I guess, more so, or a medical concern also for the person you're going to, especially if they live by themselves. When you said protective services, you're not trying to get them in trouble, you're trying to get them some help.
Help.
Yeah,
You're trying to get
absolutely.
help because
Step.
it's a situation, if they have no family or nothing, they keep falling or they keep laying in the field or whatever, they need.
It's a bigger problem than you
Yes,
can handle.
yes.
And this is another thing. You know, I went through this 3 years ago. I fell, broke my neck. I laid on the floor for 8 hours before I got somebody came and got me. I couldn't even move my eyeball. You know? I went through this situation. Well, my thing is, say I was able to get to the phone and call 911, and they sent volunteer fire guys out to help me get off the floor. So if they helped me get out of the floor, my neck was broken and stuff. I'm injured. And they shouldn't have moved me. Then I'm gonna sue the city, you know what I'm saying? The city's gonna have a lawsuit against them.
Well, sir, you falling and injuring your neck, I understand, yeah, absolutely you need an ambulance. But if you,
But what I'm saying, they didn't know, they didn't know my neck was stuff was broke. You know, until I got up to the hospital and ran the x-rays and everything else. So if two fire guys just come out and just lift me out of the darn floor, then you get in a lawsuit situation. That's what I'm saying.
did you know that you were hurt, sir?
Oh, I know I was hurt.
Okay.
I couldn't move. I couldn't move up with my eyeball.
You don't think you've been telling them, don't move me, don't move me?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But the situation.
Did you call 911?
No, the situation is my son and them found me and they got me out of the floor. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Ain't what I'm saying. I'm saying
Yeah.
if we send two fire guys out to anybody and they just lift them off the floor, if they hurt them, then we're responsible.
Yeah.
Well, I think where we're going to be on that, and the concern is a liability issue. You and I talked about the county, that's a liability issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think with the chief, assistant chief been here, that the fireman will be called out or has the authority to go there prior. It needs to be a 911 for ambulance. I think I would recommend, understand the word I just said, recommend that the fireman not enter a scene at that point until paramedics or whatever is.
An EMS person.
Am I correct on this, Corey?
Yeah.
So that's where we're at. The firemen should not do anything unless they've been trained. They have no training, so there is a liability at that point for the volunteer fireman that gets nothing to do anything until the proper people get there in that line.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I
So
agree
if
with that.
they call 911, say we need an ambulance will be dispatched first, get on scene, and then therefore ask for assistance. Am I correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So ambulance will show up.
And then,
But the ambulance will only show up if it's a true emergency. If an ambulance is called because I need help getting to the bathroom, or I need help getting off the floor, I'm not, or I need help getting my medicine.
That still follows the same range I'm talking about. Then if we show up, then we're responsible if this person gets hurt.
we shouldn't be called out. I don't think we'll be called out at that point. That's clear. We will not be called out. If they get a 911 call and they fall or something, the fire department will be called. It'll be the ambulance people first.
This is where dispatching.
Properly trained people should
Well,
have
the way it works
recognized
is
you.
the ambulance sits there,
Yeah.
and then if they need assistance,
Then they tell the dispatcher to page out New Hope, South Pittsburgh, whoever it might be.
So he just said if they call in and say, hey, well, I need assistance getting out of the floor bathroom, they ain't gonna show up.
We don't have to think that.
We don't have to.
No, unless we are called by
But
the ambulance service, they're not gonna call out the fire department. Am I correct on that?
We can do that.
Am I wrong on that?
yeah, but again, we don't want to leave nobody on the floor.
No, but what's the liability issue?
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. You got two problems there. You got
Can anybody in this room answer me that? What is the liability insurance, liability issue on that with no medical training? That we have a volunteer fireman side by the fire.
What's the fire training on that, Corey?
Wait just a minute. Ms.
First
Ratchett.
responder training.
Yeah, we don't have that. So if we don't have that, we get called to the scene, where's the liability fall?
Well, I wonder if the Good Samaritan Act protects us if we're not trained. No,
Doesn't protect firemen.
no. I'm saying
no,
if
he don't follow the fire department.
they come out, I don't think there's a liability.
No, it is, there is a liability if they
They're
are
not
volunteer
trained.
firemen.
There's liability anytime
I
you
think
or me
everybody in this
or
room knows you can get sued for anything, for any reason.
But I think
Exactly.
the Good Samaritan Act is a strong law in Tennessee.
Not if they're getting paid, and we've already seen them vote, that, we know that the volunteer firemen are
Hang on,
getting paid.
they get paid when they show up.
Right.
They get paid when they show up.
Here's where we're at on this. Here's where we're at. When I talked to Jake Menzer in the county, and I talked to Corey, and what we done was voted as a board. We didn't have a policy. We didn't what was the other thing? Ordinances. We didn't do nothing. We just voted. We just voted not to do it as a board. That's all we voted on to do. And I talked to Corey about it, and what we're going to do is retract. We'll vote to do that. But it's going to be under understanding here in a minute when we get on down the line a little bit. What we're going to do, if it's a medical assist, am I correct, Corey? It's got to be, and Jake knows this too, it can't be just cause they come home drunk and fail, can't get up. I mean, I'm just being honest with you. I'm not trying to be ugly. It's just, we can't do that. We got volunteer men here. We got volunteering, and you know, they don't need to be running up and down the road on a really non-emergency, do that, and you got somebody having a heart attack, real bad shape, that needs an ambulance,
Or fire.
or anything of that nature, and then they're tied up on something else that's really don't need to be on. You got somebody dying with a heart attack or anything else, car wreck, whatever. So
I had my heart attack and drove myself to the hospital.
Me too.
Me too.
I did too. I went the back roads and I looked for Puckett over at Kimball, but you weren't there. I would have let you
We do not recommend that.
I know. And if I fall, you'll be the last person to know if I can get myself up.
But just so that the citizens here know, and the Triple W and all that, worldwide web know, we're going to take and retract here in a minute and vote to assist Puckett in any medical assist. It's that simple. It's that simple. We're not going to deny nobody that. And, you know, it kind of got misconstrued, and he and I both talked about it in jury. And we're not the only city that this is the issue. He's had other run-ins a lot worse than this here, y'all. He and I talked, we won't go into details or names or where, but same issue everywhere you go. It's kind of like, you know, when people want to leave and go somewhere and get away from this person, it's the same people, different faces, folks. Where'd you go? You might just write it out, you know. So same principle here. He's got issues in other cities and counties with this, and maybe if somebody sees this or hears this, it might help them
I've
understand
seen
better.
that firsthand too.
You know, so, you know, we're just trying to work it out with Puckett and our fire department. You know, the men, I can't make volunteers go.
The volunteer fire people, what does their EMS or whatever it's called training, what is that? What is,
We don't have any emergency medical training. We have CPR, well, we do get CPR and first aid training, and that's as far as it goes. So that's
when you
very
go,
limited.
when you go over the mountain and stay a week over there at that area, what do you learn over there?
We don't go and stay somewhere for a week for training. And if for training, we do fire training. We don't do medical training.
Okay.
For extrication or something of that nature, you know, it falls in that line. It has nothing to do,
Fire suppression training.
Okay.
that's left up to the ambulance services. That's what they're.
So we've got a division of responsibilities kind of.
Sure. It's just like us in the police. we don't do their job and they don't do ours. They help us out occasionally, but we don't have medical training and we know our boundaries.
And it's the same way with ambulance service. They don't roll up on a fire scene, jump out and grab a hose in the air pack, put it on, go in and fight a fire. It's not their job.
Yep.
And, I mean, we hail.
Just 3 up in Marion County anyway, so likely
What's that? What's that?
the ambulance will cover us.
And that's just, that's determined on the factor, I'm sure, of either population or the way it's laid out. I know it's a darn if you do, darn if you don't.
Yeah.
And they do the very best they can, and we do the very best we can. And we're open-minded. That's why we're going to retract something tonight, because, we're going to have to reevaluate it. He's here learning something probably too tonight, and they're probably going to try to work on something maybe a better system of issues of how they can handle things, just like we're going to try to do.
Yeah.
So it's all a work in progress.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I'm here tonight. I respect the mayor and his diligence, and he's really wanting to do what's best for New Hope. We know that this is your community. You're vested here. You live here. I've got folks that live in Marion County that work for me, and so they're very invested as well. And we want to do the right thing. We can't do it all.
I called you the second time with my husband the day after Labor Day. Labor Day, we had a one of those home health people there taking his temperature, and everything was wonderful. Just got home on Friday. He'd been in the hospital since you took him in July. So the next day, he couldn't get down the stairs. So I called you again to tell you that I had to get him down 7 stairs so you could transport him to the hospital. And that was just what I told them. I can't get him down these 7 stairs, and I need him downstairs to be transported to the hospital. And you guys showed up. You didn't ask me questions. You showed up and you transported him.
And we transported him to the hospital.
Yes, they put all kinds of stuff, on him.
Man, that is exactly what needs to happen.
Right.
That's exactly what needs to happen.
Now, you transported me after I drove myself to Grandview, but I asked which guy has been driving the longest.
Yeah.
We're going, or have you got anything, Jake, anything
We talked about the blowers for,
oh, wait a minute, we'll get to that.
nothing other than that, no.
And what we talked about, me and Jerry talked about, make sure we're clear on it, we are going to medically assist the animals. We understand, and if they get there too, and it's like I say, someone's had too much drain, fell down the steps, and they fell getting out, we're not going. It just ain't gonna happen. I mean, and they'll, but it's a medical assist, and they'll have to call the shots. So that's where we're at on that. So and while we're doing that, and what we're gonna do. If there's no more questions, anybody got any more questions about it?
Mark, it's not Mr. Dunn, I met you, I think at the beginning of the year at the county commissioners meeting, and Commissioner Franklin was going over the contract, and I met you and I talked to you about a couple of things. One is I've had 3 different insurance, and I've used you 3 different times with 3 different insurance. And I get a bill for $850 every single time, doesn't matter what insurance I have. You told me that night that it should be no more than $300. That affects every citizen in New Hope. I don't have $850 to throw around, and I'm sure most of our members in the community don't have it. So the second part of that question is that if I'm at Park Ridge West and I am transported to the main campus at Park Ridge in Chattanooga, who pays that bill?
I'll answer that question for you, sir. And that's a great question to answer. And the answer is, we are not in network with any commercial insurance provider. And the reason being is that they are not willing to negotiate what we refer to as a UCR, usual customary rate. if you have any, and I don't want to get off on a tangent, so Mayor, because you got other business, but, I would certainly give you my card and we can discuss this, but it's so much more in depth than just, we understand that you have a fixed income, but it's very expensive to run an ambulance service, very expensive. We don't want the citizens to have to pay that bill. That's what you pay insurance for. But the insurance companies that make billions of dollars every quarter simply refuse to negotiate a fair rate, not just with us, but with any ambulance provider. So let me just leave it at that.